The Long Jeep, the CJ-8 Scrambler story. The sun breaks over the ridge, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose that stretch across endless pine forests. Morning mist clings to the valley below, and an old dirt road winds through it all like a ribbon of memory. Sitting there, patient as dawn itself, is a Jeep CJ-8 Scrambler, faded red paint worn by years of sun and adventure, round headlights catching the first light, that distinctive seven-slot grille promising capability that transcends generations. The pickup bed in back carries scratches and dents, each one a story, each mark evidence of a life lived outdoors, working, exploring, refusing to be confined by pavement or routine. Turn the key and the AMC Inline 6 coughs to life, that straight six rhythm instantly recognizable to anyone who's ever loved a Jeep. It's not a refined sound, not smooth or quiet. It's mechanical, honest, the sound of an engine built when reliability mattered more than refinement. The exhaust note echoes off the trees and into the morning, announcing that something special is about to happen, that adventure waits just beyond the next turn in the trail. This is the Jeep CJ-8 Scrambler, and if you were there in the early 1980s, if you remember when these odd, wonderful machines appeared in small towns and on farms and at campgrounds across America, then you know this isn't just a vehicle. This is a rolling piece of outdoor culture, a bridge between the legendary Jeep heritage and the practical needs of people who actually use their vehicles for real work and real adventure. It was part Jeep, part pickup truck, part lifestyle statement, and it existed for just 5 years before disappearing, leaving behind a legacy that would influence Jeep design decades later. The CJ-8 Scrambler represents a specific moment in American automotive history when manufacturers were still willing to take risks, to build unusual vehicles for relatively small markets, to prioritize character over mass appeal. It never sold in huge numbers. It was awkward-looking compared to conventional trucks. But for those who understood it, who saw past the unusual proportions to the brilliant practicality underneath, the Scrambler was perfect, the vehicle they didn't know they needed until it appeared. The vision, building the long Jeep. The story begins in the late 1970s at American Motors Corporation, the scrappy independent automaker that owned Jeep and needed to find creative ways to compete with Detroit's giants. AMC's engineers looked at the CJ-7, the popular Jeep that had become America's definitive off-road vehicle, and recognized both its strengths and limitations. The CJ-7 was brilliant for trail use, unstoppable in mud and rocks, perfect for weekend adventurers. But it was small, cramped, and offered minimal cargo capacity beyond what you could stuff inside the short cabin. Meanwhile, small pickup trucks were gaining popularity. Toyota, Datsun, and domestic manufacturers offered compact trucks that appealed to buyers who needed utility but didn't want full-size pickups. These trucks sold well, but lacked the CJ's legendary off-road capability and the emotional appeal that came from Jeep's military heritage and reputation for going anywhere, doing anything. AMC saw an opportunity. What if they took the CJ platform and stretched it, adding a proper pickup bed while maintaining all the characteristics that made CJs special? The result would be more practical than a CJ-7, but more capable off-road than conventional small trucks. It would appeal to outdoorsmen who needed to haul gear, farmers who needed a tough work vehicle, and adventurers who wanted Jeep capability with pickup versatility. The engineering solution was straightforward but effective. Start with the CJ-7 platform and extend the wheelbase from 93.5 inches to 103.5 inches, a full 10 inches of additional length. Add a steel pickup bed behind the traditional CJ half cab, maintain the removable doors, fold-down windshield, and available soft tops that defined Jeep's open-air philosophy. Keep the solid axles, leaf spring suspension, and four-wheel drive system that made CJs unstoppable off-road. The result would be unmistakably Jeep while offering functionality that no other CJ could match. In 1981, the CJ-8 Scrambler arrived. It looked unusual, longer than a CJ-7 but shorter than conventional pickups, with proportions that took time to appreciate. The pickup bed seemed almost grafted onto the Jeep body, creating a profile that was distinctive rather than conventionally attractive. but those unusual proportions translated to real-world benefits: better stability than shorter CJs, actual cargo capacity, the ability to tow heavier loads while maintaining the trail capability that made Jeeps legendary. Production would last just 5 years, from 1981 through 1986, making the CJ-8 one of the rarest and most unusual vehicles Jeep ever built. Those who understood it loved it. Those who didn't simply couldn't figure out why anyone would want such an odd-looking machine. Time would prove the believers right. The Scrambler's basic concept was so sound that Jeep would eventually revive it decades later as the Gladiator, proving that the original vision had been correct all along. Design. Classic Jeep meets pickup practicality. Look at a CJ-8 Scrambler from the front and you're seeing pure Jeep DNA. Those round headlights, that 7-slot grille, design elements that trace directly back to World War II, Willys Jeeps, unchanged in their essential character despite decades of evolution. The flat hood with its stamped lines, the upright windshield that could fold flat onto the hood, the removable doors, every element screamed Jeep heritage. But walk around the side and the Scrambler reveals its unique character. The extended wheelbase creates more space between the front and rear wheels, giving the vehicle a stretched appearance compared to the familiar CJ-7. Behind the passenger compartment sits a proper steel pickup bed, not a token cargo area but a functional bed capable of hauling lumber, camping gear, hay bales, whatever needed transporting. The bed featured traditional pickup truck styling with defined sides and a drop-down tailgate, making loading and unloading straightforward. The Scrambler came with multiple top configurations, each offering different compromises between weather protection and open-air freedom. The base setup featured a steel half-cab top covering just the seating area, leaving the bed completely open, perfect for hauling but offering minimal weather protection. A full, soft top extended over the bed, providing complete coverage when needed, but adding complexity and weight. Some owners ran completely topless, embracing the full Jeep experience of sun, wind, and occasional rain. Graphics packages added visual appeal, with distinctive Scrambler decals running along the sides, typically in contrasting colors that made the vehicles instantly recognizable. These weren't subtle. This was the early 1980s, when bold graphics and two-tone paint schemes dominated automotive design. Laredo and Renegade packages offered upscale trim levels with additional features, upgraded interiors, and more aggressive styling that appealed to buyers who wanted their Scramblers to stand out even more. The removable doors remained a defining feature, allowing Scrambler owners to enjoy the same open-air experience that made standard CJs so appealing. Pop the doors off on a warm summer day, and suddenly, the vehicle transformed from enclosed transportation to a rolling outdoor platform that connected you directly to the environment. Wind rushed past, carrying the smells of pine forests or fresh-cut hay or dusty trails. You could reach out and touch passing vegetation. The world became immediate, tangible, real in ways that enclosed vehicles simply couldn't replicate. Inside, the Scrambler maintained traditional CJ simplicity. The dashboard was straightforward, basic gauges providing essential information without unnecessary complexity. The seating was upright and truck-like, placing the driver high with excellent visibility. Materials were durable rather than luxurious. Vinyl seats designed to withstand muddy boots and wet gear, rubber floor mats that could be hosed clean, surfaces built to take abuse and keep functioning. The long wheelbase provided tangible benefits beyond just cargo space. The extra length between axles improved ride quality compared to shorter CJs, reducing the choppy, harsh ride that characterized the CJ-5 and CJ-7 on rough pavement. Stability improved at highway speeds, making the Scrambler more comfortable for long-distance travel. Towing capacity increased, allowing the Scrambler to pull trailers that would overwhelm shorter wheelbase Jeeps. These weren't dramatic improvements, but they made real differences for owners who used their vehicles for serious work and extended adventures. The heart, AMC power and simplicity. Open the hood on a CJ-8 Scrambler, and you're looking at AMC engineering from an era when simplicity and durability mattered more than outright performance. The engine bay was spacious by modern standards, with plenty of room to work, maintain, and repair. a critical consideration for vehicles often used in remote locations far from dealerships and professional mechanics. The base engine was AMC's 2.5-liter inline-4, producing around 82 horsepower, modest even by early 1980s standards. This was the economy choice, adequate for light-duty use but struggling under heavy loads or at altitude. Few buyers chose it. Most recognized that scramblers would be worked hard and needed more power to fulfill their potential. The preferred power plant was AMC's venerable 4.2-liter inline-6, producing approximately 110 horsepower and, more importantly, strong low-end torque perfect for off-road use and hauling. This engine had powered Jeeps for years, earning a reputation for near-indestructible reliability when maintained properly. It wasn't sophisticated, a simple overhead valve design with carburetor fuel delivery, but it was honest, dependable, and fixable with basic tools in remote locations. The inline-6 made a distinctive sound, a smooth mechanical hum under light loads, deepening to a more aggressive rumble under acceleration. It wasn't fast by any objective measure, but speed wasn't the point. The engine provided steady, reliable power that could pull the scrambler through mud, over rocks, up steep trails, and down highways loaded with gear. It would run all day at moderate RPM without complaint, asking for nothing more than regular oil changes and basic maintenance. Early model years offered a 3.6-liter GM V6 option, though this was rare and quickly discontinued. Most scramblers left the factory with either the 4-cylinder for budget-conscious buyers or the inline-6 for everyone who understood what these vehicles would actually be asked to do. Transmission choices included a 4-speed manual, durable, simple, with widely spaced ratios suitable for both trail use and highway driving. A 5-speed manual appeared later, offering better highway fuel economy through the addition of an overdrive 5th gear. A 3-speed automatic was available for those who preferred easier driving, though most buyers chose manuals for better control and reliability in off-road situations. The 4-wheel drive system was pure AMC robustness, Dyna axles front and rear, known for strength and durability. A transfer case allowed shifting between 2-wheel drive for normal road use and 4-wheel drive when traction got scarce. Low-range gearing provided the torque multiplication needed for serious off-road obstacles, allowing the scrambler to crawl over rocks and through mud at walking pace without lugging the engine. Suspension was straightforward leaf springs front and rear, simple, rugged, serviceable with basic tools. This wasn't sophisticated independent suspension designed for car-like handling. This was truck suspension built for durability, for carrying loads, for absorbing the punishment of off-road use without braking. The ride was choppy on rough pavement, but on trails and dirt roads where scramblers spent most of their time, the suspension performed brilliantly. The mechanical simplicity meant scramblers could be maintained and repaired by owners with basic mechanical knowledge. No complex electronics to diagnose, no computer-controlled systems requiring specialized equipment. Just honest mechanical engineering that could be understood, maintained, and fixed with wrenches and determination. The experience. Driving the long Jeep. Climb into a CJ-8 Scrambler and immediately you're reminded this is a real Jeep, not a modern SUV pretending to be rugged. The door, if it's even installed, is lightweight, more substantial than a CJ-5's, but still feeling temporary, removable by design. The step up into the cab is high, requiring genuine effort, reminding you this is a vehicle built with serious ground clearance for serious off-road use. Settle into the seat and your position is upright, commanding, with visibility that seems impossible compared to modern vehicles. The windshield is nearly vertical, the A-pillars thin, the door windows large. You can see all 4 corners of the vehicle, judge clearances easily, spot obstacles before they become problems. This is a vehicle designed to be driven on trails where visibility means the difference between making it through and getting stuck. Turn the key and that AMC inline-6 fires up with its characteristic smooth rumble. There's a moment of mechanical negotiation, carburetor finding its mixture, idle settling into steady rhythm, and then the engine hums patiently, ready to work. The sound fills the cab, not loud but ever present, a mechanical heartbeat that reminds you this is old-school engineering without modern sound insulation or noise cancellation. If you've got the manual transmission, and you should, the clutch pedal requires genuine leg strength. This isn't a modern hydraulic clutch that requires minimal effort. This is a mechanical linkage connecting your foot directly to the clutch assembly, demanding your participation in every gear change. The shifter is long and spindly, sprouting from the floor with plenty of travel between gates. Finding gears requires attention and deliberation, but there's satisfaction in the mechanical precision of the linkage. Roll forward, and immediately you notice how different this feels from modern vehicles. The steering is manual, no power assist on most models, requiring actual effort at parking lot speeds, but lightening up as velocity increases. There's honest feedback coming through the wheel, direct communication about what the front tires are doing, mechanical connection between your hands and the road surface. That's been engineered out of contemporary vehicles. The ride quality is truck-like, meaning firm and occasionally harsh on rough pavement. Every expansion joint transmits through the chassis. Potholes make their presence known. The leaf spring suspension doesn't isolate you from the road so much as keep you informed about every detail of the surface below. But this isn't uncomfortable. It's honest, real, the kind of feedback that makes you a better driver by forcing attention and adjustment. Accelerate and experience what 110 horsepower feels like in a vehicle weighing around 3,200 pounds. It's not fast. 0 to 60 takes longer than you'd prefer, especially if you're carrying a load or pulling a trailer. But the inline-6 pulls steadily, building speed with determination rather than urgency. Merging onto highways requires planning and commitment. Passing slower traffic means dropping a gear and waiting for momentum to build. This is transportation from an era when speed was less important than reliability and capability. On the highway, the Scrambler settles into a comfortable cruise around 55 to 60 km/h, the speed limit for most of its production life. Push faster and whine noise increases dramatically with those flat surfaces and upright windshield. The engine spins higher, working harder, drinking fuel at an accelerating rate. The Scrambler wasn't built for interstate cruising at modern speeds. It was built for two-lane highways, dirt roads, and trails where velocity matters less than capability. But take it off-road, and everything changes. Point the Scrambler down a dirt trail, and suddenly all those compromises make sense. The ground clearance allows navigation over obstacles that would stop conventional trucks. The short overhangs mean steep approaches, and departures don't result in scraping bumpers or dragging tailpipes. The four-wheel drive system provides traction on surfaces where two-wheel drive vehicles simply spin helplessly. Engage 4 low, and the Scrambler becomes a mechanical mountain goat, capable of crawling over rocks and through mud at walking pace with the engine barely working. The low-range gearing multiplies torque to levels that seem impossible from such a modest engine, allowing the Scrambler to pull itself up inclines that look impossible, through mud that seems impassable, over obstacles that appear too large. The Donna axles and leaf springs flex and articulate, keeping wheels in contact with the ground, even when the terrain becomes three-dimensional. The experience is visceral, immediate, requiring constant attention and adjustment. You're not managing electronic systems or trusting computers to maintain traction. You're reading the terrain, choosing lines, modulating throttle, and steering to maintain momentum without losing control. When it works, when you successfully navigate a challenging section, the satisfaction is genuine and earned, proof that driver skill still matters. Remove the doors and drop the windshield, and the Scrambler transforms into something even more elemental. Wind rushes past, carrying the smells of pine forests, dusty trails, creek water. Branches brush close enough to touch. The sun beats down without mercy. You're not isolated from the environment, you're part of it, connected in ways that modern climate-controlled vehicles simply cannot replicate. It's uncomfortable sometimes, inconvenient often, but absolutely unforgettable. Real-world stories. The Scrambler in American life. The CJ-8 Scrambler found homes across America, filling niches that conventional vehicles couldn't quite address. On small farms, Scramblers became indispensable, capable of navigating rough fields to check on livestock, hauling feed and tools in the bed, pulling small trailers, serving as both workhorse and transportation. The four-wheel drive meant functionality in mud and snow that two-wheel drive farm trucks couldn't match, while the pickup bed provided utility that standard CJs lacked. At hunting and fishing camps, Scramblers became legendary. The combination of off-road capability and cargo space made them perfect for accessing remote locations. Load the bed with camping gear, coolers, and equipment, then head down trails that would stop conventional trucks. The removable top meant easy cleaning when wet gear and muddy boots inevitably made a mess. The simple mechanical systems meant repairs could be accomplished with basic tools in remote locations. Perhaps the most famous Scrambler owner was President Ronald Reagan, who kept one at his California ranch and was frequently photographed driving it around the property. Those images, the president behind the wheel of a bright red Scrambler, casual and relaxed in his rural retreat, added to the vehicle's mystique and cemented its status as an American icon. Reagan's Scrambler represented the same values the vehicle embodied: independence, self-reliance, connection to the land. Small-town America embraced Scramblers enthusiastically. They appeared in Independence Day parades with beds full of kids waving flags. They served as pace vehicles at local events. They hauled Christmas trees for community celebrations. The distinctive profile made them instantly recognizable, while the open-air configuration made them perfect for occasions when visibility and interaction with crowds mattered more than weather protection. Beach communities discovered Scramblers' versatility, capable of navigating sand that trapped conventional vehicles, providing transportation for surfboards and fishing gear, embracing the salt air and sun exposure that would quickly deteriorate enclosed vehicles. The ability to hose out the interior and wash sand from every corner made them practical for coastal life in ways that conventional trucks struggled to match. Adventurers and overlanders, before that term became common, recognized the Scrambler's potential for extended expeditions. The cargo bed allowed mounting of rooftop tents, storage systems, jerry cans for extra fuel and water. The mechanical simplicity meant reliability in remote locations far from dealerships and repair facilities. Scramblers traveled logging roads, desert trails, mountain passes, proving their capability in the most demanding conditions while providing the cargo capacity needed for extended self-supported travel. Special variants and the search for perfection. During its 5-year production run, the Scrambler appeared in multiple variants designed to appeal to different buyers and use cases. The base model was Spartan, functional but minimal, prioritizing low price over comfort or features. Vinyl seats, basic gauges, manual everything, paint schemes in practical colors. These were work trucks for buyers who valued capability over luxury. The Laredo package elevated the Scrambler toward respectability, adding upgraded upholstery, additional sound insulation, chrome trim pieces, more sophisticated graphics, and optional equipment like better radios and upgraded wheels. Laredo Scramblers appealed to buyers who wanted Jeep capability without completely sacrificing comfort, who planned to use their vehicles for both work and recreation. The Renegade package went the opposite direction, emphasizing aggressive styling with bold graphics, off-road focused equipment, and visual elements that announced the owner's enthusiasm for trails and mud. Renegade Scramblers often featured special paint schemes, upgraded suspension components, and equipment packages designed specifically for serious off-road use. Factory options allowed buyers to customize their Scramblers extensively. Hard tops, soft tops, bikini tops, no tops. Each configuration offered different compromises between weather protection and open-air freedom. Larger fuel tanks extended range for remote adventures. Limited slip differentials improved traction on challenging terrain. Auxiliary lighting provided visibility for night driving on trails. Tow packages increased hauling capability. Dealer-installed modifications were common during the 1980s, with many dealerships offering custom packages that included lift kits, larger tires, additional lighting, custom graphics, and equipment packages tailored to local markets. These dealer builds blurred the line between factory and aftermarket, creating unique Scramblers that reflected regional preferences and specific use cases. The legacy, rarity, influence, and resurrection production ended in 1986 as AMC struggled financially and prepared for eventual acquisition by Chrysler. The Scrambler had never sold in huge numbers, Total production across 5 years was relatively modest compared to mainstream vehicles. But those who owned them understood their value, recognized their unique position in Jeep history, and often kept them long after conventional vehicles would have been replaced. Time proved cruel to many scramblers. They were used hard, as work. Trucks, trail rigs, farm vehicles, beach transportation, they accumulated miles in abuse, suffered from neglect, fell victim to rust in salt belt states and corrosion in coastal environments. Many were modified extensively, cut apart for custom builds, or simply worn out and scrapped when repair costs exceeded diminishing value. Survivors became increasingly rare and valuable. Original scramblers with low miles, proper documentation, and unmolested specifications began commanding serious collector attention. The Reagan connection added premium value to certain examples. Clean Laredo or Renegade packages became particularly desirable, offering the best combination of features and condition. The collector market recognized what the general public had missed. The Scrambler represented genuinely innovative thinking, combining Jeep capability with practical utility in ways that predated modern trends by decades. It was the original lifestyle pickup, the vehicle that proved small trucks could be both capable and characterful. But perhaps the greatest validation came in 2020, when Jeep introduced the Gladiator, essentially a modern interpretation of the Scrambler concept. Take a Wrangler, extend the wheelbase, add a pickup bed, and you have exactly what AMC created nearly 40 years earlier. The Gladiator became a sales success, proving that the Scrambler's basic formula had been correct all along. The market finally existed for a Jeep pickup, and the modern execution vindicated the original vision. Enthusiast communities celebrate Scramblers through dedicated clubs, online forums, and specialized shows. Owners share maintenance tips, source rare parts, document history, and preserve examples of this unique vehicle. Restoration specialists have emerged focusing specifically on Scramblers, recognizing both the collector demand and the challenge of finding correct parts for vehicles produced in limited numbers decades ago. The Scrambler influenced subsequent Jeep design in subtle ways. The success of longer wheelbase platforms, the recognition that Jeep customers wanted both capability and practicality, the understanding that open-air freedom could coexist with cargo utility, these lessons learned from the CJ-8-shaped vehicles that followed, eventually leading to the Wrangler Unlimited, and finally to the Gladiator. Reflection: what the Scrambler represents. There's something about the CJ-8 Scrambler that transcends its mechanical specifications or its place in production history. It represents a specific philosophy about vehicles and their relationship to owners' lives, a belief that transportation should be purposeful, capable, honest about its intentions, rather than pretending to be something it's not. The Scrambler didn't try to be a luxury vehicle. It didn't pretend to offer car-like comfort or refined road manners. It was exactly what it appeared to be. A Jeep with a pickup bed, a vehicle built for people who actually use their trucks for work and adventure, rather than just commuting to offices and navigating shopping center parking lots. For those who remember when these vehicles were new, the Scrambler triggers powerful memories of a different America, smaller towns, closer connections to the land, outdoor recreation that meant getting genuinely dirty and tired rather than posting curated photos on social media. It represents camping trips where you actually slept in tents and cooked over fires, fishing expeditions where you spent more time on the water than driving to trailheads, work that meant genuinely physical labor rather than managing screens and spreadsheets. The Scrambler's mechanical simplicity reflects an era when people maintained their own vehicles, when understanding how engines and drivetrains worked was common knowledge rather than specialized expertise. Owners could perform repairs with basic tools, adjust carburetors, replace worn parts without computer diagnostics or dealer-specific equipment. This fostered a different relationship between owner and vehicle, not just operating it, but truly knowing it, understanding its quirks and characteristics through hands-on experience. Modern vehicles are objectively superior in nearly every measurable category. They're faster, more efficient, safer, more comfortable, more capable in many ways. But they lack something the Scrambler possessed in abundance: character, personality, the sense that you're operating a machine rather than managing a computer on wheels. The Scrambler demanded your attention and participation, rewarding driver skill and mechanical sympathy in ways that electronic nannies and automated systems have largely eliminated. Dawn breaks over the trail. The sun sits higher now, burning off the morning mist, illuminating the trail ahead. The CJ-8 Scrambler idles patiently, that AMC inline-6 humming its mechanical song, ready for whatever the day brings. The pickup bed waits empty, anticipating loads, firewood, camping gear, tools, whatever needs hauling. The doors hang on their hinges, ready to be removed when the day grows warm and the air invites that full open Jeep experience. Stand beside it, and you're not just looking at a vehicle. You're looking at a moment in automotive history when manufacturers still took risks, built unusual vehicles for relatively small markets, prioritized character over mass appeal. The Scrambler existed because AMC believed there was room in the market for something different, something that didn't fit conventional categories but solved real problems for real people. Only 5 years of production, relatively few built compared to mainstream vehicles. Many used hard and worn out, others modified beyond recognition, some simply lost to time and rust. But survivors remain, cherished by owners who understand what they represent. A connection to an era when vehicles felt special, when pickup beds on Jeeps seemed radical rather than obvious, when driving meant genuine engagement rather than management of electronic systems. The CJ-8 Scrambler stands as testament to the idea that sometimes the most interesting vehicles are the ones that don't quite fit established categories, that occupy unique niches, that prioritize specific capabilities over broad appeal. It proved that Jeeps could be practical without sacrificing their essential character, that cargo capacity and off-road capability could coexist, that sometimes the best solution is the unusual one that makes perfect sense once you understand it. For those who owned them, who drove them on trails and through mud and down dusty roads with wind whipping past and sun beating down, the Scrambler represents something more than transportation. It represents freedom, capability, connection to the American landscape in ways that enclosed, climate-controlled, electronically managed modern vehicles simply cannot replicate. The engine idles on. The trail stretches ahead, and somewhere in America, other Scramblers wait, in garages and barns, at trailheads and campsites, carrying gear and memories and the spirit of an era when Jeeps had pickup beds and adventure meant genuinely getting away from civilization rather than just posting about it. The long Jeep endures, a mechanical bridge connecting us to times when outdoor culture meant mud on boots and campfire smoke in hair, when vehicles were tools for adventure rather than appliances for transportation, when something as simple as a Jeep with a pickup bed could feel revolutionary and right.